Hello, my brothers and sisters in music. Today is a bit of a different kind of video because I'm going to get a little more personal and I'm going to talk to you about how I've been able to deal with my anxiety. And I hope that the stories that I share with you and that the thoughts that I share with you about how to deal with anxiety as creative craftspeople are going to help you in your journey. Welcome back to the channel, friends. I am Tommy Z. This is The Anthem, and today I'm going to talk about anxiety, which has definitely played a role in my life. It's something that I've struggled with and something that I've had to learn how to deal with in order not to sabotage my life and my work. I've identified 3 levels of anxiety, 3 different levels or sources where the anxiety might generate from. Number 1 is the soul, number 2 is the mind, number 3 is the body. And I want to tell you 3 stories from my life which some of you might resonate with and will help you to deal with anxiety if that's something that you're struggling with in your own life. The number 1 story takes place at around 2003-2004. I am working at a major financial institution in Toronto on Bay Street. I have a fancy business card with an executive title that is almost longer than the business card itself. My family is proud of me because I have a stable job. I have made something of myself. However, I start to experience some kind of strange discomfort, some kind of strange symptoms, some kind of strange signals that arise in my body and my mind while I am sitting in my cubicle, while I am sitting in the conference room during a conference call, in a daily chat by the coffee machine. Out of nowhere, I would suddenly feel as if I'm about to die, as if I'm about to have a heart attack. My body temperature would rise, my heart rate would increase, I would start getting very restless and jittery, and I think most of the anxiety came from me not actually wanting to embarrass myself in front of other people, in front of my coworkers by fainting or something like this. So here I was trying to hide this inner panic, this inner distress that I was experiencing that would happen very often in the middle of a meeting with a room full of people. Now, this came out of nowhere and I could not understand what was going on with me. I went through a bunch of medical tests. They didn't reveal anything. And I realized if I'm to get to the root of this, it is me who will have to do the work of figuring out what is going on. Now, how did I begin to diagnose myself, to try to understand what was going on in my body? I started to journal. For the first time in my life, I began to learn about myself and I began to bring the contents of my mind in front of my eyes. The fact is, folks, you cannot deal with what you cannot see. You cannot sort out what you cannot see. Thoughts are all tangled up in the back of our mind, and so in order to make sense of them, in order to untangle them, we have to bring them in front of our eyes. And that's what I began to do over 15 years ago when I was experiencing my first panic attacks in my safe, cushy, comfortable day job. And what I learned through journaling is that the life I was living, the path I was on, was actually not the path that I was called to be on. I was so distracted by my everyday work, by the routine of just having the full-time job and spending all my days with my coworkers. And then after a long, hard day at the day job, of course, you just want to relax. You just want to decompress. You don't want to think about anything else. But I realized this path that I was on was not actually leading me to who I was meant to be. It was not leading me to realize my unique potential. I was not answering my unique calling. And I believe those anxiety attacks that started manifesting themselves while I was busy working my corporate job were a distress signal from my soul. Because clearly my soul noticed that I, as a human, was not doing anything about identifying my true calling, about trying to move closer to the path that will bring me to realize my unique potential. And so in its infinite intelligence, the soul decided to send a signal that I would actually pay attention to. And believe me, I started to pay attention because these anxiety attacks, folks, they literally felt like I was dying. And in some sense, I was dying. I just didn't notice it. It's amazing how we can get into a routine of life and then wake up 20 years later and realize that we simply did what the world wanted us to do. And so I began the practice of journaling. I began the practice of moving away from the routine of my coworkers and what you do in a corporation, which is you have the coffee with the coworkers, then you go down to the food court and eat some Chinese food with the coworkers, and you complain with them and you commiserate with them. The problem with that is that is basically hypnotizing you, programming you into this habit, this everyday habit that then becomes your life and ultimately becomes your destiny. And I realized at that point in time that my anxiety attacks were like an alarm clock from my soul to wake me up, to wake up the captain so I can take charge of the ship again and realize, hey, wait a minute, where did I sail out to? This is not where I'm supposed to be. And so I began to move away every single lunch hour, take a long walk away from the corporation with my journal so I can get my thoughts out on paper, see what is bothering me, see what my vision is, see what my soul is trying to say to me. Pages and pages and pages started spilling out of a vision of how I imagined my life, of the passions that I had as a kid, of the desire to express myself in a unique way. I am simply trying to point out that to some of you listening who may have a full-time job and you might be experiencing restlessness and anxiety, this may be a sign from your soul that you need to do something about your unique calling. You need to do something about realizing your unique potential on this earth. So I encourage you, start a journaling practice. Listen to your soul. See what is happening inside of your mind. If we do not acknowledge the whispers from our soul, they're going to turn into potentially a distress signal that in my case turned out to be having these anxiety attacks. The thing is, once I started journaling and developing this vision, an amazing thing happened over time. I began to believe in it. I began to get excited by it. And when there's excitement, when there's enthusiasm, when there's belief, you're much more likely to take action. And not just any action, but inspired action, because now you're acting on the things that you truly believe are being instructed to you by your soul. So you're acting, moving, behaving with a deeper conviction, with a conviction that is on a whole different level than the conviction you have as a full-time corporate employee presenting a spreadsheet to your boss. Even though I was nowhere close to realizing my dream yet, and it would be some time before I'm actually able to quit my corporate career, as soon as I started listening to my soul and actually journaling, developing the vision, and taking small steps before, during the lunch hour, and after my work to get closer to answering my unique call, the panic attacks subsided. It's as if my soul was like, I don't need you to quit your corporate career in order to feel at peace. I just need you to do something, anything, the smallest step on a daily basis in order to realize your unique potential and not just keep following the path of least resistance or whatever the world presents you with. Story number 2, folks. Fast forward a few years, I have achieved my dream of quitting my corporate career. I am now a music producer working full time. In fact, I'm not just a music producer, but now I am a co-owner of a music production company with staff, with lots of jobs from big brands. My career has officially started. I am working hard, and the anxiety attacks start again. And this time it's like, well, what the hell? I've achieved my dream. I am no longer working in a corporate cubicle. I am making really good money being a creative craftsperson. I'm excited. I'm working on high pressure projects, but it all feels to me like good pressure, where I am able to prove my unique superpowers for the benefit of all my clients. So what's going on? Why am I feeling anxious again? To the outside world, it seemed like everything was great. I am doing what I was called to do. I'm achieving success, but internally I felt this stress and I had no idea where it's coming from. So what did I do? You guessed it, folks. I carved out bits of solitude in my day. I stopped working constantly and I started spending more time with my journal. And eventually, as I started spilling out the contents of my mind and my soul onto these pages, I realized that all the success I am achieving, all this hard work I am putting in, there's a big question mark around it. And the question mark was, who are you doing this for? Are you doing this just so you can enjoy your own success? What is this all leading to? What is the bigger plan? It took a lot of writing, a lot of contemplation, but eventually I arrived at the thing that was bothering me. Again, it was another calling that I was ignoring. I was chasing awards. I was chasing the next projects. I was chasing more and more successes in my professional life. But in my personal life, there was emptiness. There was no purpose. There was no higher vision. And it became clear to me, my next big production has to be a family. I am called to find a soulmate, to invite new life onto this earth, and to inspire them with all of the possibilities, with the adventure that is discovering your unique calling, with teaching these little humans on how they can turn their passion into a lifelong adventure. And now I had to recalibrate my compass. And guess what? As soon as I recalibrated my compass, not too long later, on my short trip to Poland, I met a girl who eventually became my wife. And 10 years later, we have 2 wonderful kids. And personally, I feel totally at peace that with my family, I have built a foundation, and that all of my professional success and all of my professional striving is not just for me, it is for us, it is for the family. And so I'm not just traveling this journey alone and enjoying and celebrating my successes on my own, but my family, my children especially, see me striving to be independent, striving to follow my unique potential, to realize my unique superpowers, to help other human beings move on what matters to them. My kids see me doing that, and hopefully that will inspire them and teach them that it is possible, and it will be something that they will also strive to do themselves in the future. Now you might be like, I thought this video was about dealing with anxiety as a music producer, and here you're getting deep about family and foundation. Now don't you worry folks, we're gonna get to the 3rd story next, and that's gonna be a little more practical and down to earth. But I think I would be doing you a disservice if I only covered the topic of anxiety with some simple tips or simple tactics, when I believe that some of the roots, some of the causes of anxiety go way deeper than just mental overwhelm. Some of them are rooted in our failure to follow our calling. No superficial tactic or tip or hack will solve anxiety that is at a deeper level. And that's why I wanted to share this with you. First, I believe in starting with the foundation. I believe in going to the roots of every problem. And so if we're going to talk about anxiety, let's first deal with the anxiety that might be at the level of your soul, that might be at the level of your conscience. And let's make sure we're addressing that first. But just to bring things down to earth, let's talk about anxiety that is more day to day. So fast forward a few years, I have now moved countries in order to be with my girl, in order to start the family. I am a creative director at Massive Music in Amsterdam, one of the premier production companies in our space. But again, I started to get a call from my soul, from my conscience saying, hey, are you going to work for somebody for the rest of your life? When you fast forward 10 years, do you really see yourself as being 40-something years old and being an employee of somebody else? Or is there an instinct, an impulse inside of you that says, I need to build something of my own? And so here's where the anxiety came in, folks. I was absolutely convinced that I should be building my own company, that I have enough experience, that I have enough credentials. But of course, building your own company is not easy, especially because I was a primary breadwinner. Now I had a family, now I had mouths to feed, and I was working at a very stable, comfortable, a very successful music production company. And so leaving that safe harbor in order to start my own business at a time when I have 2 small kids was incredibly scary, and I felt a lot of anxiety because of this. And this anxiety was not like the anxieties that I felt at a deeper existential level. These were like practical anxieties that showed themselves in mental overwhelm, in worrying, in ruminating thoughts, in having these dreadful visions of me going bankrupt, of us as a family losing our house because my new production company cannot generate enough projects. And this became sort of a vicious cycle because these negative, dark thoughts were sapping my mental energy, were sapping my enthusiasm. And what you need when you start a company is incredible energy, positivity, and you got to go out there and attract people and inspire them and have the right energy that makes people want to work with you. Instead, because of all this anxiety, I felt vulnerable, I felt fearful, and I think that energy was showing. And believe me, folks, in the creative business, there's no way that you're gonna get projects if people sense that you're scared, you're afraid, you're needy, you're desperate. In this business, you have to show up as a calm, confident, capable captain who inspires trust, who inspires creativity, so that everybody wants to work with you. But because of these anxieties, because of these worries, I was sabotaging myself. And the tragedy about all this was the things I was worried about most were very likely to happen because anxiety was affecting me so much, and it was sabotaging my ability to generate business, to generate new projects. So what do you think I did, folks? Once again, I pulled out my trusty Polish iPad. I started examining the contents of my mind, and I realized that behind my eyes, in the darkness, somewhere in the back of my head there were all kinds of negative thoughts, negative visions. I mean, I was not even conscious of it. It's as if I was going through my days feeling low energy, feeling anxiety, but not knowing exactly what the reason is. When I started writing this down, I was shocked by what kind of visions were hiding behind my eyes. Now, folks, I'm going to keep repeating this. You cannot sort what you cannot see. You cannot untangle a rope that you cannot see. And so journaling is a way to bring everything from behind your eyes, hiding in the darkness of your mind, to in front of your eyes, to in front of your face, so you can face it, you can sort it, you can order it, you can make sense of it. Folks, in another video, I talked about the analogy of you, your highest self, being the captain and not allowing your crew, your thoughts and emotions, to run the ship. I believe when we are anxious, we're actually allowing the crew to take the steer. And what we need to do is wake up the captain and have the crew report to the captain. And this is the journaling practice. Finding some quiet time in your day so that you can spill your thoughts out on paper, and you can basically ask your crew, hey guys, what are you worried about? And in this particular case, I was surprised to find out that my thoughts were suggesting dark scenarios like, you're not gonna have projects, therefore you're gonna run out of money, therefore they're gonna take your house away, and therefore you're gonna be living under the bridge with your family. Now, I'm being absolutely serious. This is the stuff I was writing down. So these are the images that have been haunting me for the past months. Like, no wonder I feel like I'm running at 40%. No wonder I feel nervous when I have meetings with prospects. No wonder I'm not able to generate ideas. You need to feel spontaneous, and you have to have positive energy in order to generate ideas for your business. And so once I was able to face these demons, these dark images, I was like, is this even likely? Is it even likely that me and my family will end up under a bridge? And I said, okay, how likely is it that they are going to take our house away? And when is that threat going to become real? So I actually called my banker and I asked him, hey, how long would it take for you guys to take away my house? And he said to me, you know what? It actually takes about a year in order for us to start the legal proceedings and get everything in place so we can be in a position to start legal proceedings in court to try to get you out of the house. A year. Now, folks, the anxiety I was feeling was as if my house was going to be taken away next month. But there was no such danger. I was making the monthly payments. I had projects. I was just worried about some not too distant future where suddenly the projects would stop, I'd miss a few payments, and suddenly we'd be out of the house, and I'd be feeling terrible for having started my own company and failed. So getting those thoughts out in paper in front of my eyes and facing them and then questioning them, hey, how likely is this going to happen, would already start to ease my anxiety. And when I began to plan contingencies, if this doesn't happen, then I'm going to do this. If that happens, I'm going to do this. Plans are like chill pills. The moment you start planning in your journal or wherever it is that you plan, you're going to notice your anxiety easing immediately. I believe that it is the degree to which we feel that we are in control of our lives that determines the level of our anxiety. So the more you're running away, the more you're distracting yourself from something that you know deep down is inevitable, the more you're going to feel anxiety. Now, one more thing I want to add to this, folks, is the source of your anxiety could also be physical. It could mean that you're not getting enough sleep. It could mean that you're not moving, you're not exercising. Our bodies are meant to move. Our minds get restless when our bodies are not moving. Just take half an hour walk every day. That will not only help you to mind the contents of your mind, but to physically move. And physical exercise, movement, has been proven to alleviate anxiety. Some of you might think about cutting back on caffeine or anything that stimulates your mind. That may very well be a source of your anxiety or restlessness. Maybe you're missing some nutrients, some vitamins. You should definitely go see a doctor and get your blood analyzed and see if maybe the source of your anxiety is physiological. But just to recap, folks, There are 3 levels of sources that I always look at anytime I feel anxious. Number 1, it's at the level of soul, at the level of spirit, at the level of my conscience. Am I on the path that I am supposed to be on? Am I following my calling? And the tools at this level is number 1, separate yourself from the noise. Number 2, find some time in solitude with your journal so you can write down your thoughts and listen to your soul. And number 3, start planning, start orientating yourself toward the path that you're supposed to be on. As you've seen in my 3rd story, the second source of overwhelm can be mental. We don't know what's going on in our mind. Our thoughts are hidden behind our eyes, and yet they're firing negative thoughts and visions at us, which are sapping us of our energy, of our enthusiasm. Move away from your usual environment. Find a slice of solitude. Take out your journal and start asking your crew members, your thoughts and emotions. What are you afraid of? What do you want? What's going on? It's like taking a flashlight to your mind so that the negative, dark thoughts can't hide out anymore and hurt you from a distance. You put them right in front of you, you face them, and you ask them, how likely is this to happen? Is this even rational? And most of the time you will find that most things that you're worried about are not immediate threats, are not likely to happen in the near future. That you will have time to actually put things in place to prevent some of these things you're worried about from happening. And number 3, your anxiety maybe is not at a metaphysical level. Maybe you don't have mental overwhelm. Maybe it's not because you have a lot of things on your mind. Maybe it's just because you're not getting enough sleep. You're not moving your body enough, and maybe you're overdoing it with things like alcohol or coffee and underdoing it with some minerals, vitamins, or nutrients. But folks, I encourage you to look at anxiety holistically on these 3 levels: soul, body, and mind. And the moment you start feeling anxiety again, you know it's time. Slice of solitude, journal, have your crew report to you, face your fears, make plans to overcome them, keep moving forward, and don't worry about nothing. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.